Hey guys, welcome to my Veganuary V vlog. Today I'm going to cover a little bit more about fruit, why I don't eat fruit for dessert. So this is a bit of a funny one. Everyone knows I love fruit, and people often will bring fruit to share after a meal if friends come for dinner or something. And I don't know if anyone's ever noticed, but I don't eat the fruit after dinner, and if they do, they're probably a little bit confused because everyone knows I love it. So why don't I eat fruit after dinner? And I covered this a little bit in one of the other videos, but I'm going to go into it a little bit more and talk a little bit about digestion as well. And so the reason I don't eat fruit at the end of the day is because there's this sort of food energy ladder, and your body is a tube. It's got one entrance and one exit, and the passage rate through that tube is different for different foods. And so fruit wants to move through that tube really quickly. Okay, you'll often notice if you say have a meal of papaya for breakfast, you might need to go to the toilet fairly soon afterwards. And so that's because it's the fibre in it is stimulating the peristalsis, and it's getting things to move out the other end. And the fruit is then going to want to come down at quite a rapid transit rate. Whereas if you eat a food that's more solid, heavy, dense, fattier type foods, they're going to take a lot longer to move through your gastrointestinal tract. So that's like cooked food, nuts, seeds, anything with more fat or protein, and also obviously animal products. So something like a big steak, it's going to take a very, very long time for that to move through your passage. And that's one of the reasons why it's risky to eat that kind of food, because we're not set up for it, we're not designed for it. It sits in that gastrointestinal tract for a really long time, and all of the byproducts of that digestive process then potentially can cause disease. And so that's why I don't eat fruit for dinner. I have fruit for breakfast. I love it. It's the best start to my day. It energizes me, makes me happy, it hydrates me. It sets me up for a great day. If I feel like something a little bit heavier or more substantial, then I might make a smoothie with some nut milk, or add a little bit more tahini, or I'll make a smoothie bowl and put some granola on top. I love the combination of the textures, so something liquid with something crunchy or solid on top as well. And so I tend to keep my fruit to the earlier part of the day. If I want to have fruit later in the day, then I'll have it with a salad or some leafy greens. So fruits and leafy greens, that's a really nice combination. As long as you're keeping the fats, like parts of the dressing or nuts or anything in your salad, quite low. But yeah, that's one of the reasons I think also why people can have trouble with the fruit digestion, is because they're eating it at the wrong times, they're eating it in the wrong combinations, and there's no education around that. I only learnt this because I've met quite a few fruitarians over the last 5 years or so, and it seems to be common knowledge amongst fruitarians because that's what they eat, but when it comes to sort of typical kind of education system, it's not something that's discussed. And so, but I've put it into practice, and I've found that it's absolutely correct. And so I would encourage you that if you do want to start increasing the fruits in your diet, to just be aware of that and be more mindful about when you're eating fruit. And so the other sort of part of that I thought I'd talk about is digestion, and how much energy it actually uses to digest food. So the digestive process can use up to 80% of your body's energy supply. And so it's not correct to think that by eating this food I'll get energy. So I need to eat a really high carb meal to be able to go for a run in 3 hours, for example. That's not technically correct, because the body makes nerve energy, which is what you need to be able to move your body when you sleep. Sleep is what causes the restoration and the generation of all of the ATP that makes the cells fire. Food is just your fuel, and so you want a really clean fuel going into your body, as clean as it can be, so that your pipes and everything don't get dirty. If you buy a really expensive racing car, you're not going to go and just put the cheapest fuel in the tank, because you're going to end up with dirty fuel that's going to affect the function and the performance of the engine. And it's not going to perform as well as you would want it to be, and certainly not going to be a return on that monetary investment. Your body's the same. If you put dirty fuel into it, you're creating obstructions that your body has to work hard against. So that's like, thickening in the arteries, or your heart's having to pump harder because your blood's not oxygenating well because it's so gunked up with other stuff. It's not able to get the stuff across through the lungs into the blood. Disease, arthritis, all those sorts of things that make it harder for your circulation to work because it's got to push through obstructions. So you want clean fuel going into your body, and the cleanest fuel is going to be hydrating foods that are species appropriate. And so certainly fruit is the best one for humans, but as I've already mentioned, not everyone's going to want to eat a high fruit diet for lots of different reasons, but certainly I would highly recommend moving towards just at least starting your day out with some fruit, as much as you can, a different variety of fruits, whatever you enjoy, whilst also being mindful of that stuff that I've talked about with regards to fruit digestion and gut health too. And then your heavier, sort of denser foods, eat them later in the day. So maybe a salad or something like that for lunch, with some lentils or something if you need something that's a bit more satiating. And then your grains, if you eat grains like rices and that sort of stuff, with your cooked foods for dinner. And so that's going to keep the transit passage clearer. Your body will be less, there won't be as many obstructions, and so everything's going to work better, which means you'll have more energy. So you'll have more energy for everything else you want to do in life. So if you want to go surfing or go bike riding or climb a mountain or play with the kids, or learn a new creative hobby, or anything, whatever you want to do, you're going to need energy for that. And the best energy you will be able to make is if you eat the right kind of diet, so your body's clean and free of obstructions, so that when you generate energy, it can move through the body, and make sure you're getting enough sleep so that your body can actually continue to make enough energy for your requirements. So I hope that helps. It's probably maybe a little bit of an obscure topic for some people, not something that's generally talked about when it comes to nutrition and fueling your body, but certainly really, I think, essential information. And particularly if you're wanting to pursue more fitness or athletic pursuits, you want your body to be firing at its sort of ultimate performance level. And so just as an example of that, how long ago, maybe I don't know, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, I can't remember. Ben and I did a 6 mountain challenge in a day. So we were part of a sort of fitness group, and we went and climbed 6 different mountains on the Sunshine Coast. And I'd obviously been doing a little bit of training leading up to that so that I was able to do that, but I was also eating a very clean diet, and fueled myself just with fruit and some smoothies on that day, and felt amazing. I had energy for every single mountain climb. I didn't get tired. I was going much faster than I think everybody else on the day on every mountain climb. Was actually even keen to run parts of it, which I'm not a runner, so it's pretty surprising. And wasn't sore. My body's so clean that I didn't get the lactic acid buildup in my quadriceps and hamstrings that most people get. So some of the people that did the challenge were complaining how the DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, how sore they were 48 hours afterwards, and how they couldn't walk. And I was doing squats the next day. It's just, that's how you feel when you eat the kind of food that we're supposed to eat, and you get enough sleep, and you're doing everything else that, or as much as possible as you can, to sort of live in alignment with nature. It means that you'll be able to do, whatever your heart desires, and tackle it head on. So, little story for you. Hope you find that interesting and food for thought. Thanks guys, we'll see you tomorrow.